What is something that people are just not ready to hear? I was a teacher for a few years, and one of my students was a little girl who was always dirty, had unwashed hair, and wore clothes that were way too small for her. She was very quiet and never talked to anyone. I tried to talk to her a few times, but she would just nod or shake her head. I knew something was wrong, so I went to the principal and asked if we could call her parents in for a meeting. He told me her parents were both in prison for drugs, and she was living with her older brother. I asked if we could call him in instead, but the principal said it was best not to get involved. I couldn't just let it go, so I called him in anyway. He was about 19 and looked like he hadn't slept in days. I told him I was worried about his sister, and he immediately broke down crying. He told me their parents were in prison, and he was working 2 jobs to support them. He said he couldn't afford new clothes for her, and he didn't have time to help her with her homework. I was shocked. I told him I would help them. I bought her new clothes, and I would stay after school to help her with her homework. She started to open up to me, and she told me she wanted to be a doctor when she grew up. I told her she could be anything she wanted to be. A few years later, I got a letter from her. She told me she was in college, and she was studying to be a doctor. She said I was the reason she didn't give up.